high quality.
Joey McGuire, head football coach at Texas Tech. The Red Raiders open up against Murray State. It has been, 5 years, 16, since the last time you were a head coach in the sideline? Has that even, entered into this week?
Oh, man, it's funny you say that because earlier in the week at the Monday press conference, so I guess yesterday, you know how days run together, Don asked me about that. He said, have you been thinking about being back on the sideline as head coach? And, man, I think I've thought about it, since I've gotten the job, from the pregame speech to, running out of the tunnel. I just get, chill bumps just thinking about it. And, man, I can't wait. I mean, our guys have worked their tails off, and they're ready. They're ready like everybody else, I think, in the country that's playing week one for, and this be the first time. They're ready to hit somebody else.
Do you know who you have as a team until you play a game, or maybe until you're tested?
Oh, you think you do. I've got some veteran coaches that, I'm always what do you think, where we're at, just picking, Kenny Perry's a guy that, he's my best friend, and he's brutally honest with everything. I'm always asking him, and he feels like we're in a good spot. I feel like we're in a good spot, but I think until somebody hits you in the mouth, until you see how you're going to respond to true adversity in game time situations, you think but at the end of the day, you really don't know what you have.
Is there a difference, you think, in coaching at the high school and college level?
Well, so this is what I always tell everybody. You're coaching 3 more minutes a quarter.
Yeah.
You're usually going to carry. You're going to usually carry more offense and defense when it comes to third down, and you're usually going to carry more offense and defense whenever it comes to red zone. But as far as the X's and O's and at the end of the day, playing at a high level and not beating yourself, I don't think there's a lot of difference. I really don't. And I think that there's so many good coaches that I've coached against that have gotten me ready for this moment. I think that we'll be able to adjust and play really well, to the weeks to come.
Is there a thought in your mind? This has been, it's hard to imagine. It's not been a year since you took the job, but it seems like it's just been like a blur just because of, I know you and what it was like. Is there a part of you that just, my God, we just want to look like a good football team, win the game, obviously, but just look like a good team?
Man, I think he's been sitting in my meetings. It's so funny. Monday, our staff meeting, I'm talking to him, and I told him, I said, I still remember 2003, talking to my coaches about, guys, we just got to make it look like football. At the end of the day, the product we put on the field, it's just got to, let's just make sure it looks right. And, I was laughing because I said, I remember this conversation that I'm having, and I said, I'm not going to totally have the exact same conversation with y'all, but, make sure we're covering all our bases. Make sure we've gone through every situation. I said, I know we have, but rethink. Go back through from the time we got here until now. Is there anything we're missing, and what do we need to cover? Because you and I both know, I remember in 2020 with Coach Aranda, he's been a long-time coordinator and one of the best play callers on the defensive side of the ball in the country for years after years after years. And I still remember, there was times that we'd be in a game and you're like, golly, man, we don't want to do this. And not his decision, but we got to make sure that we look like a football team, and there was some situations like that year that you're like, dang, did we really do what we were supposed to do? Not only for the team, but just for him, because, at the end of the day, all eyes are on you, and you either have a team that you prepared to go play, or you have a team that you could have prepared to go play, but something happens and you don't look like you have. And so, yes, I talk about that. We talked about that this week also.
Spike Dykes had a great run there. Coach Cawthorn had a great run there. Mike Leach had a great run there as well. Have you, and do you, I know you've had Tech in your blood. You've talked about that from the beginning, but have you studied the history of Texas Tech football?
Yeah, I have, and so one thing that is helped me also is, so one of my really good friends, his name is Judd Hardage. And Judd was the golf coach when I first got to Cedar Hill. We were both assistants together, and he is a diehard Red Raider. I mean, as diehard a Red Raider as there is, I believe. And we would go to lunch every day, and we would talk about Texas Tech and whatever was happening in Texas Tech. And, of course, we talked about college football, and, we talked about Baylor a lot because his dad's a Baylor grad, and so – it was one of those deals that I think we spent so much time talking about at lunch that I was getting a history lesson every single day. And then being a Texas high school coach, and following, you want Texas universities to do well, because the majority of their rosters are Texas high school kids. And so you want them to do well, nationally. And so I would always follow, what was going on at Texas Tech. And then, with Judd in my ear almost every day whenever it came to Tech, I think, I had a history lesson of what was going on, what happened, and what to do and what not to do.
Bull team last year, I know there was the coaching change, and then you sat there and had to bite the bullet for about, a month or so, it seemed like, which I know you're like, I'm sure that wasn't easy. So this is a team, and we brought this up with you during Big 12 Media Days, that had playmakers, had talent, did win games. Do they have an edge to them to take it to the next level? Do they have that, we were okay, there's a reason there was a coaching change, let's go. It's go time.
Well, I think that bowl victory helped them a ton. From the standpoint of a lot of reasons, just as a whole, as a university, of who we were playing, and then them, getting to a bowl and getting those extra practices. And then we've come in and I'm one of those guys, man. I believe in breathing life and breathing confidence in your players, and so we've tried to do that with everything that we've done. I think we have a confident team. Again, we'll see what that team looks like whenever we get hit in the mouth or when we get to hit somebody in the mouth. But, I do think that they are hungry. And then I do think, not that we deserve anything more, but hey, we did win a bowl against the SEC team, and we're not getting a whole lot of credit for anything. And so that's awesome. I love it. I was a part of that team last year that was basically the same thing that happened in Waco, and you saw what happened there. And so, I think that also gives us some faith and some encouragement that it really doesn't matter where anybody picks you. It's, where you end up at the end of the year.
You picked a quarterback to start in Tyler Shuck against Murray State, but you also have a room that's very loaded, very deep. Anybody could play at any time. How have they handled the decision?
Man, they've been awesome. Tyler really won the job, and it was a deal that I think the team saw it. It was a tough decision because, two of the three are my captains. Donovan Smith is one of my captains, and man, all three of them competed their tails off. And so it wasn't one of those deals where you could point and say, well, the team's not going to play hard for this guy. The team's going to play hard for whoever's in there, and because they're well liked, they work extremely hard. There's not anybody that you're going, well, the team's not going to freaking get behind him because he's not working hard enough. But the guys did such a great job. You're talking about two of the three that are coaches' kids. Donovan Smith is a coach's kid, and Baron Morton's a coach's kid. And so I think them having that background and understanding the game from the standpoint of, winning that job, I think it gave them they could understand where I was coming from. The other thing, too, is both of them were a play away last year. It's not like somebody came in and played the whole year. Tyler got hurt last year, and they had to play. And so when you're saying you've got to be ready to go, you're one snap away, they understand that. They understand that they have to be ready because they had to be ready last year whenever it came to that.
Is there anything that you've met as the head coach that you weren't expecting or surprised you?
Man, I'll tell you what. I said this, and I really stand behind it. I really thought I knew what this fan base was about. I really had no idea. I mean, I know, and where I came from, I felt this love for a university, and I guess it maybe is the size, but I also believe where we're at in West Texas, that there's this extreme ownership in this region, and I've never seen anything like it whenever it comes to just getting behind your team. And I mean, I think the cactus emoji and all that stuff that happened from another Big 12 opponent, it shows you that, man, these people out here, they are all about Texas Tech, and they are going to get behind their teams. And so I thought I really knew their passion, but, man, they fire me up. And I've told them, everywhere I've gone, I don't think they understand how big of an impact they're having on this team and getting behind us the way they are.
Joey, you're about to take the field as the head coach. You mentioned the pregame speech, the tunnel, Jones AT&T Stadium, the fan base. I know how full throttle, stick your head in the tank of gasoline and light it with a match, as I say, whenever we're about to have just a show that we can't, just start to finish. Can you sleep the night before?
I probably won't, man. I probably won't. And what's crazy is we got a 7 p.m. kickoff, so it's going to be a long day, But I learned this from Matt Rule, and I really believe it. He used to always say the hay's never in the barn. That you coach all the way through the game, everything you're doing, you're always trying to adjust to be better. And so I think having that mindset and learning that from him is going to help me. I don't think I'll sleep any, but it's going to help me, really stay focused on getting that team ready all the way through the game.
Have you spoken to him? I know he's getting his team ready for the regular season. Have you talked much at all with him?
We have not talked as much as we normally do. We text a lot because Garrett and Coach and I have a group text that is almost daily. But he's been really busy trying to get that team. I've been busy trying to get my team ready. Whenever I've had questions, I've reached out to him. But we haven't got to talk last couple of days. We usually are talking almost every day, but we do text every day, and it's usually Garrett firing something off. He thinks he knows everything. So he's going to get to come to the game since they're not playing this weekend. So I'm sure he's going to have a notebook ready for me after the game of what I did wrong. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I saw him at Big 12 Media Days. The family was great. Last question for you. Do you ever think you have to tone it down as the head coach in college compared to what you were like at Cedar Hill or as an assistant at Baylor?
I don't necessarily, the passion is going to be there. The one thing that, as I was thinking, it's because I've thought about this a lot. I've got to make sure that I'm reacting the way, one, true to myself, reacting, but I also got to make sure that I'm staying composed for my staff. You didn't have to do that as much as an assistant as you have to do it as a head coach. But the one thing that Jeff Traylor told me, and, Jeff and I talk a lot also. I mean, we're not texting every day. We're talking at least once or twice a week. He said, Joey, no matter what, he said, you have to be true to yourself because the players are going to know it and they're going to feed off of it. And you try to be different, then, you're just going to end up cheating yourself and cheating them. He said, so just be true to yourself. And so, I definitely got to do that. But I've also got to make sure I'm managing that sideline and everybody else and keeping us, composed and that mentality of what's next. No matter if it's good or bad, we got to get to the next play.
We appreciate you so much, man. Good luck.
Thank you, man. I appreciate y'all. Really appreciate you having me.
Joey McGuire, head football coach at Texas Tech on 360.